Welcome everyone to tonight's meeting of the Denali Borough Assembly. We're here in Cantwell, Alaska, 6 o'clock. And also on welcome everybody listening to the recording. We're here in Cantwell, July 12th, 2023 for a meeting of the Denali Borough Assembly. We have 3 ordinances on the public hearing agenda. If anybody would like to provide any testimony, they can give us a call, send us a link to public comment at denaliborough.com, or there is a link on the Denali Borough website where you find a link to this meeting where you can provide some comment. And as we are doing with these electronic meetings, we can suspend the rules and take public comment on these ordinances as they come up during the meeting, as well as here during the public hearing. So I don't believe we received any written communications on these ordinances.
I have not.
Okay. And if anybody wants to make public comment, you can also just join the Zoom meeting. If you're on Facebook or YouTube or whatever, you can join the Zoom meeting off the Denali Borough website. And we'll let you in and you can talk with us that way. Okay, none of the public in attendance has a public comment at this time either. So the 3 ordinances on the agenda for the public hearing are 23-07, 08, and 09. Appropriation of funds from the Solid Waste Equipment Reserve Fund for the purchase of a new DA dozer. Appropriation of funds from the Parks and Rec Fund for summer season rest facilities at the Antwerp Ridge parking area, and appropriation of funds from the Major School Maintenance Fund for a reconstructed and expanded outdoor basketball court at Tri-Valley School. So if we don't have any testimony now, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing and we'll call the regular meeting to order. And to do that, I would ask Mayor Walker to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yeah. Beautiful flag up on the wall here. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
And would ask that our clerk call the roll, please.
David Alexander,
Here.
Helen Shreve,
Here.
Krista Zappone, Dominic Kennelly.
Here.
Lisa Minor. Joe Chatfield,
Here.
Jeff Stanger,
Here.
Richard Hammond,
Here.
Jared Zimmerman.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Move to excuse the absent assembly members.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Shreve to excuse and seconded. Any discussion on excusing? Anyone opposed to excusing? Hearing none, call that a unanimous excusal. Bring us to public comments. I don't see anyone on the Zoom call from the public. So unless I hear from the clerk, if you've got anybody, we'll go
No
ahead and
comments.
go ahead and close public comment and move on to approving tonight's agenda.
Move to approve tonight's agenda.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Shreve to approve and seconded. Any discussion on tonight's agenda? Mayor Walker.
Thank you. I'll just let you know that we haven't confirmed of late that the Alaska Broadband Office will be joining us. I'd recommend keeping it on the agenda in case they do pop in. But of late, we haven't heard from them, so we're not sure they can be in attendance.
Okay. Yep, and yeah, I guess if they do pop in, if everybody's okay, we'll just suspend the rules and just kind of take the welcome their communication if they do join us. Thanks for that update. Any other discussion of the agenda? Amendments? Anyone opposed to approving? Hearing none, we'll call that unanimous, and we'll move on to the minutes of the June 14th regular meeting.
Move to approve the minutes of the June 14th regular meeting.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Shreve to approve the minutes and seconded. Any discussion or changes to the minutes? Thanks to the staff for preparing an excellent set of minutes yet again. Anyone opposed to approving? No. All right, we'll consider that unanimous approval. And that'll bring us to partner report. Don't see any partners online. So we will go ahead and move on to the school district report.
Thanks. Superintendent Polter reports that he didn't put together a written report for the July meeting. Of course, the school board doesn't meet in July. And he did have a couple items that he just wanted to provide awareness for. And that is the ongoing work at Tri-Valley School, and the roof replacement project is going forward. Boy, I've been going through there a lot, and there's a lot of work going on, and in some pretty windy conditions at times. And but it's moving along well. And he did also want to update the assembly on state budget. I'll go ahead and read what he wrote, just a couple sentences here. Regarding the state budget and vetoes, the final school funding level for FY24 is a little more than the level of state aid that the district budgeted for in our approved budget. So while disappointing that the full amount did not come to public education, and the funding is only one-time money, our financial plan for FY24 is intact, provided our enrollment meets projections. So that's what he wanted to share.
Thank you, Superintendent Polta and Mayor Walker for relaying that report. Brings us to Planning Commission report. And we do have Commissioner Mercer with us here tonight. Thanks for coming down.
Nice drive, going from the candle. Don't like seeing the trees, but changing their time from there. We had a pretty short meeting last week, last part. We started off with approving 3 of the resolutions that came up, a couple of the name changes that were passed to you guys a week before. And then also the, I would call it the rainbow, the reindeer block out here. Pointing, that's probably not the proper name.
New subdivision in Cantwell.
Right, and yes, but used to keep the reindeer here. So that was pretty good. That's a big space. And I was happy to see that there was nobody against it. Nobody showed up for protesting it, and folks just, so it all seemed to go very well. So after that, we split and went up and had a walkabout on some of the land that the borough's got. We went out about half mile on Stampede Road. Was up there and we walked the hilltop from the north side around closer to where it gets to the highway. Put that stuff in there. Pretty nice. I drove on it for quite a few years. So we got a pretty good idea how nice it is. It's tore up a little bit more than when I left it, but it's got a really good view off to the south and east. Easy access from the top. I think on this for the next maybe subdivision or whatever the plans go. So mostly clay, so it's just a little wet, but there's nothing. Everybody in the borough's built places on stuff that I would have never thought that there would be houses on. It's actually turned out beautiful and worked out very well. So it would be a very good place to carry on to the next one. We discussed a little bit of an entrance to discussing the land between Dry Creek and Stampede Road on the west side, that ridge line. Now looked at a spot to check out later where we actually probably make a road from going from Stampede Road up onto that ridge. If it gets to be a problem that we decide to do that and we do not have any access closer to Dry Creek, this would be another way of getting back up on top of it. It would actually be, I think the land is better closer to Dry Creek, but this has easier access, power lines right up on top, and that'd be a great ridge line. And east South County, we did pretty good walk. Everybody be pretty impressed with the stuff on the north side, and yeah, so that's pretty short. So other comments, I'm impressed with the boroughs getting the highway, the address signs up. I'd heard from quite a few people on, pluses. Most all of them were pluses on the signs, a couple were a little, trying to figure out why signs ended up on a trail that wasn't really, nobody uses or such of that, but overall, it's kind of nice driving down, seeing all these, I gotta kick out some of the, there's some interesting names on the signs. There have also been a few people who were impressed with their signs at their, at their roads or wherever else, and the borough has been very accommodating in remedying that situation. I would have to say that my wife and I were not exactly on the same page as the back sign, back road, back trail that's approved by state for access, which was labeled Mercer Ranch Road. So goes to the top of the hill where my property starts, but we had some people show up the other night that drove down there and they said, well, since they saw it was a road sign, and road conditions look like the same on top of the hill going down over the hill to my garage, that was the same, that they assumed that even though all the signs there's trespassing by the property, they assumed that since the road sign was out, there was nothing saying otherwise, that was public access all the way down to the bottom. So that's just my, but anyway, the borough was extremely accommodating to remove that sign, very thankful. And one thing I want to thank you folks very much for funding the fire department summer medic program. It's surprisingly we're up to 150 runs so far, which is that comes from the 1st of November, and it works out
that higher or lower than usual?
If we keep this rate up here, this is probably hit 300. But if we get up into around about 220 to 250 is about, get 250 is pretty high. But we're getting a lot of overtime. The AMA calls, show up, you show up for something that you get there and look at it, and somebody got their finger out of joint, but you take a look at it, or such like that. So, but over, still all had a few small brush fires. We had three brush fires right on Friday and Saturday. And one up to Hughes Valley Road that burns every year. And then the big one up on north of Painting up on Hilltop back up in there. So yeah, it's all working out pretty well. I mean, it's been a real quiet summer. Hope to see that.
You're not supposed to say the keyword. Baxter.
Great, whatever you want. Quiet night. It doesn't. I can't see.
Start your fate.
Questions?
Yeah, just thanks for the report, but to your point about your road and Baxter Branch Road, there's some online chatter about questions around driveways being assigned a road and folks who are impacted not really understanding that. So there may be more concern out there regarding that issue. Just be aware of that. But
Right. And then also there's a couple of people that over time have creating the knack that what you do is you go and you ask for somebody's address. Phone, your computer comes up and tells you go 3 miles this way, turn left here. A couple of people went down and found out that one of the groups actually came down the back road, saying one was they were looking for the Spike Bar. Honestly, that Spike Bar, anyone's been resurrected after the original Park Hotel burned down back there.
that's a living ticket.
It's going.
One back up front, they were looking for it, but they pointed out on their Google, they just pulled up, showed me that they point out, it shows them exactly how they started off in Fairbanks. Travel about a mile, turn to the left on the first big corner, shows you how many yards go over. First I ever knew that there was anything on there. CNR, she said that there's some of the couple of sites they've come on that actually, that is what is listed. Mercer Ranch, way up the road. But they said it didn't come from them, nothing they have. So, but anyway,
You better get your liquor license.
that is public access there to the top of the hill, so I mean, really, it's, But summer's time's not bad. I just like to slide down the hill and I gotta try to figure out how to get off the hill again. Anyway, I really appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you.
Okay. Baxter. Yeah, one more thing, just a topic of discussion. You mentioned, people driving in your driveway. In Covey, there's a couple there that, Bill and Sue, they're the ones that lost their home, during the fire. And we have the street sign right in their driveway. And it's Megan Loop, and really that loop goes around them. It's not actually right where their driveway is, and it would be best if we put that street sign on this imaginary road. It's a road on paper, but if we were to put that up at the beginning as opposed to the end of it, then people would realize, oh, gee, it's just one of those platted roads that's really not in existence yet. But what's been happening is they've had dozens and dozens of people just in the last couple of weeks driving into their driveway in the middle of the night and all hours of the day. It's really getting kind of ridiculous. And I mean, short solution is take the sign down for right now, and then we can drive the post in and put it up where it really ought to be. But I would imagine we have a few more like that.
What is the procedure for these sort of situations with the signs?
Contact the borough office. We are in a learning process as a big new project is rolled out in a lot of places in the borough, not everywhere. And yeah, there are some situations where the signs were installed in the wrong location. I can think of one of those. There are other instances where we had a communication such as the road met the standard to be named, which is over 1,000 feet long. When I say road, really we're talking about a private driveway over 1,000 feet long, or accesses 3 properties. Those are the parameters for naming it, right? And we went through that years long public process, and not everybody participated in that public process, and so some people are surprised at the outcome at the end. And we have taken down a sign that was going in that just a similar situation to Mercer Ranch Road, where it just dead ended at a private property, and they did not want that road named. And there are other situations where it's going to meet those parameters, and where it's like more than 3 or more locations are back there. And another solution that we see possibly coming is putting a private drive sign too, right? That's perfectly within maybe next steps or next learning process. If it's truly a private drive that's going to somebody's dead-ending private property, that we could add that to it, and that might be helpful. So there's some things that we're learning as we go. It's been a big week that way, actually.
Yeah, so the few people that are having an issue with this should contact the main number at the borough office. That's on the website.
Yeah.
Good. I like ours. Beautiful.
Great. We're at a high rate of success.
Yeah, but there's bound to be a few.
When you put up 400 signs.
There's,
I got a question for you. So just Clay, you may be able to answer this for me. Just out of clarification, I know Anderson City was separate than the borough for addresses signs. I just want to make sure that are those signs available per request to the residents within the city if the individual person requests it?
Okay, Richard. Yeah, good question. And let's clarify and separate a little bit between
Okay.
name signs.
Yeah.
It's kind of what is kind of our topic right here, street name signs that have been going up. And the street number signs are another topic, and I think that's what you're asking about, are the
Yeah.
street number.
Little off topic, but that's what kicked it in.
Okay, that's okay. Because, yeah, you know, we've been clarifying that those distinctions, people who we're asking people to apply for their number signs, right, through our number system, through the online system. And we're working with some folks who did that and thought that was naming their streets. So anyway, we're just working through a lot of different, sometimes individual questions. But yeah, to your question, Rich, yeah, you guys are borough residents, and yeah, in the city of Anderson, you have a city numbering system that's been in place for a lot of years.
Mhm.
And if you'd like to request a borough street number sign, we can do that. We just need to think about our system for it, because right now the only system is associated with the addressing system, which you guys already have an addressing system. So we'll figure out a little application process. It'll just be a little different. And yeah, we think that's appropriate to offer the same street number signs to everybody.
Okay, thank you for that information. It was a little clarification that came up the other day, and I didn't have the information because I hadn't asked yet, and it when you guys are talking about road signs, it triggered, and so thank you, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, one more question for the planning commission. Are you doing another walkabout next month?
Our next one needs to be in the beach. Or Carver Beach. East is the road there. It's also the lower, so I'm not sure which way we're actually gonna get to with the recommendation. Prepare for muddy trails, so yeah, that's the next one. Should be next
Next week.
week.
Okay.
I got a follow-up question. The Cantwell subdivision, what's the next step at this point, based on what was covered at the last?
Start. Final action. Turning type. Yes. And. Just gives information, it's all good. Survey. Planning detention.
Yes, implementation. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Cool. What's the time frame on that process?
Yeah, 2 years.
2 years?
Good. I don't know that they're gonna need the 2 years. I just went over there prior to this meeting to go look at things over there. And, you know, we'll stay on the planning commission meeting and a report. And yeah, that was a significant step that the borough approved that plat. And it's a significant subdivision of 38, maybe more lots. So I went ahead and headed over there before this meeting, and yeah, Borough Code does state that when you're developing more than 5 lots, you need to put in the roads, and they are constructing the roads, and it looks like they're doing a very professional job. Accessing some nearby gravels, it looks like really good material, and there's some pretty skookum roads going up that slope into some pretty good looking land.
Yeah, what, can you clarify the boundaries of the subdivision?
Not very well.
Or
Yeah, I don't know, I don't have top of my head, but certainly the railroad is one boundary.
yeah,
It starts off as wide. And not to a point. Where as far as the action.
And closer to the house
Lots
or
in the
closer
planning
to,
commission packet, if you'd like to see the plat.
Yeah, yeah.
Planning commission packet.
is it closer to the highway or closer to, Old Camwell?
Closer to Old Cantwell. As I mentioned at the planning commission meeting, it's the slope upon which outhouse races have been run.
Yeah, right.
You might lament the loss of
The three-
that hill. A lot of people thought it was public land, maybe out in the land, maybe nobody knew whose land it was, but it was private land all along, as it was used in that manner over the years and on occasion. And yeah, it was private land and it changed hands and the owner is really, the prior owner was really in agreement with the new owner's vision of that land, its use.
Well, thank you to the planning commission for your work. Hope you have a good walk next week. Move on to the mayor.
Yeah, thank you. Nice to be with you this evening and great to be here in Cantwell. And do have a written report, which I emailed to you. I didn't quite get successful in getting it into the new meeting packet, but maybe Amber did. Thank you, Amber. And I'll go ahead and give the report verbally as well. Starts off with state budget and yeah, the Governor Dunleavy did use his line item veto authority to reduce both operating and the capital budget by a combined total of about 200 million. And there were some areas that the borough identified as priorities, which were reduced, one including major school maintenance. That grant, the major school maintenance grant funding was reduced by 10 million, but the remaining amount does fund 5 projects off that list. And the key is to keep that list moving. Our Tri-Valley School partial roof replacement project is currently ranked number 16 on that list. And look forward to moving that up and getting that funded. Community assistance program that's important to the Denali Borough, the city of Anderson, and every other municipality in the state will be fully funded, but it was not recapitalized. That program spits out a third of its fund every year to the municipalities in community assistance. But the $30 million in recapitalization was vetoed, which impacts the future of the program as the pool shrinks. Third is less, unless it's recapitalized next year. So there'll be a strong interest in that next year. And of course, the FK student allocation, the increase that was approved by the legislature was cut in half. And the starting point of the budget at the beginning of the legislative session included no increase. So while that cut is disappointing to education, the result is a lot more than the starting point. Speaking of subdivision planning, on June 28th, representatives from Design Alaska joined Denali Borough representatives to visit the borough land at the Lignite Road area with an eye towards developing a conceptual plan, as we've been working with the Planning Commission on this conceptual plan for a new subdivision in that area, existing trails, lot number and sizes, and other recommendations from the public, because we did take public input too on those types of questions. And we received that from the Planning Commission as well. All that will be considered in developing the conceptual plan. That conceptual plan will then undergo review from the Assembly, and the Planning Commission and the public will have an opportunity to provide input prior to the development of the final plan. So that's where we are with that. And the Community and Outdoor Recreation Committee, the CORC, did meet June 26th. They also put out a survey regarding outdoor recreation in the borough. That survey did garner 245 responses, which is a lot for here. And a lot of good information was captured. That data will be aggregated and will be made available. And the next meeting for that committee is in August, when the committee plans to identify projects from the input received, which will then be prioritized. And yeah, an update on the street addressing project, a lot been going on there. It's been all the buzz for sure. Street signs are being installed by the contractor throughout a lot of the borough, not all the borough, but when they make headway, they can get a lot of signs up pretty quick. And also then the street number signs, as folks apply for their street numbers, those signs, about 200 have been received, kind of the first wave, right? From the first folks who applied. So those folks will be contacted to pick up their number signs via email. And I just wanted to put out a reminder to the public, to everybody, as I pretty much say to somebody every single day, that the borough's not addressing the entire borough. We don't know what your street number is until you apply. You need to apply. That's how you get an address, through the application, and it is online. And we're continuing to receive applications, a few each day, as kind of word continues to spread a bit. And next, the Interior Alaska Transportation Plan, another DOT planning process. They're asking for comments, and within this round, I did submit comments to help inform the Denali Borough section of their plan. It's the whole interior. I focused on projects identified and prioritized in the 2022 DOT Cantwell to Ferry planning and environmental linkage. We went through a lot of transportation planning here for this big corridor from Cantwell to Ferry, and I identified those and how they're prioritized, and added a few of the needs north of Ferry, and a few aviation needs as well. State Broadband Office, the borough did submit a letter to the office requesting that they revise the state broadband map to use the latest data from the FCC, which provides kind of more granular information, reveals that so many areas in the Denali borough are either unserved or underserved in terms of access to broadband. The first map showed that we're pretty much all served, and that's just not the case. So working towards them having the best information. We did have the state assessor visit, which is notable. State assessor doesn't visit very often. Usually it's once every 4 years, and sometimes that extends a little further than 4 years, and this one did. So it's been a while, and we do have a newer assessor. I think it's been at it maybe 1.5 to 2 years. And it's one of Alaska's 4 boroughs without local assessment, without property taxes. The state assessor is tasked with assessing the full and true value of all the real and personal property within the Denali borough. That figure then informs our mandatory contribution to the school district. That's how that number is used. It's 2.65 mils. Mr. Alexander, you have a question?
So just to make this in my head, so it's likely that will increase our assessment. So it's likely that we'll be able to contribute more to the school.
It is likely that I'll start with agreement that it's likely that it will increase. Granted, we all know there have been some improvements in the borough since the last visit 5 years ago, and valuations have increased. It will go up. Hopefully it won't go up 50% like it did last. But to the question about how that affects, it doesn't change the total sum for funding for the school district. It could go up 300%. And what that would mean would be that the state provides less money and the borough more. The total pie for the school district does not change.
Right, but the proportion of that we would be responsible for would increase.
Yes, correct.
State saves money,
State saves money.
we pay more money.
That's the upshot.
And if our required contribution goes up, is our allowable contribution tied to that, or is it tied to the overall revenue? So that doesn't even go up.
The additional contribution is 23% of the basic need. So the basic need is not calculated off of property values. It's basic need of a very complicated formula that doesn't involve property values. It involves kids. And yeah, it does. Numbers is within the school and there's other factors that are related in there, but it's not property values. So, yeah, that's not calculated in that.
So there's no real good part for us.
No.
We just means we take on more than.
It's not a happy day when the assessors come.
Right. Looking for a silver lining.
Yes. And every time I deal with the state assessor, and I have been in this role a number of years, and have been through this a few times, and do often come back to what Commissioner Hoffbeck told me. He was a longtime assessor. He's Commissioner of Revenue. He said, you know what we say in the assessor world, we're not happy until you're not happy. Anywho. So the state assessor is here. And yeah, he's got some different ideas on how to calculate his big job. And it is formula based, and we're a non-disclosure state for real estate. So there's a lot of guesswork involved, frankly, yeah. So moving on. Built payment in lieu of taxes, payment from DOI, from Department of Interior went down this year due to our lower population figure. That 2020 census number hurt. We knew it would. And here's one of the places it comes through is in that PILT payment being reduced. So, when we revise the budget later, we'll just amend that revenue line down. But grant applications and project updates as part of the Healthy and Equitable Communities Grant. We received, the borough is engaging an engineer to develop plans for a vaulted toilet at Otto Lake Park. And then the next three updates are things we applied for and didn't get, but we're trying. We're getting after it. We did not receive the Rural Cap Thriving Communities Grant submitted to upgrade the Anderson School outdoor basketball and tennis court. That program was incredibly overprescribed. People put in for a lot of money there, and there wasn't that much money to give out. So we didn't get that one. We're not awarded the USDOT RAISE grant for the big project, the Mount Post 235 at grade railroad crossing realignment project, moving a railroad inside the national park is expensive, and that doesn't mean that we, in concert with both AML and DOT, don't continue to pursue funding for that project. There will be other opportunities ahead, but smaller projects. It was interesting to see what was successful with that RAISE grant is they give out about 25 million, and it went to 3 different smaller projects, a total 25 million. That would have been half of this project. So. Anyway, we were not awarded the HRSA planning grant to develop a rural mobile integrated health care network. That was kind of first stab at that. We never applied for a HRSA grant, and we got 89 out of 100, but everybody who scored in the high 90s were the ones who were awarded there. So it's a good effort, but we didn't get that grant. And finally, Alaska Municipal League Summer Legislative Conference is coming up in August in Homer. It's August 9th to the 11th. And the conference information and agendas can be found at the AML website. And if you are interested in attending that conference, do contact me or Selena, or call the borough office, basically. And also I want to let you know that that conference overlaps with the next assembly meeting. So we'll be at that conference and I'll attend our next assembly meeting remote. And happy July. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for the report.
I'm happy to answer any questions.
There's no questions for the mayor. We'll go on to assembly comments, and we'll start with the folks online. Mr. Stenger.
Found my mute button. I'll kind of save everything to the end. Other than the financial update, sounds like there's some good with the bad, but I'm kind of excited to hear more about these new subdivisions. Thanks.
Mr. Hammond.
Yeah, a lot of good information there. Thanks for the clarification, Mayor Walker, on the actual address signs. That way I can pass on information, the right information to folks. And yeah, I'm a little disappointed we didn't get the grant for the Anderson School, but you know, hey, there's always next year, right?
Yeah, there's actually other ones we can go after, definitely.
Absolutely.
We'll start on the right with Ms. Minor.
Okay, I don't have much, just super excited about the road signs. Now I'm hoping that on Google, KJ Field will actually be KJ Field Road and not somebody else's. Still working on that one, but that's okay. It's awesome to see. So it's good to see the finalizing of the road signs. And I guess I have a number on my tree somewhere. I didn't even notice it. My husband put it up, so yeah, it's awesome work. It's exciting, and it's been a really good summer for the tourism. It has been awesome, so it's been a good, yeah.
Well, it's good to see we're having a busy summer, and I'm happy to see the road signs in too. And I know there are a few people out there looking forward to fixing the little problems that we have with them, and I told them that I would mention it. And I did. Really, I don't have any other comments right now, but just thanks everybody for tuning in and for being here.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess thank the staff and the planning commission for all your work. But no other comments.
Thank you, everybody, for coming to the meeting. Nothing else right now.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks everybody for driving on Cantwell. Thank you, Baxter, for making the trip down. Enjoyed the report. Very well done. Appreciate it. You guys are definitely busy, so it's nice to see you cranking through those issues and initiatives. That's good to see. So that's all I have.
Yeah, thanks again for, it's always a good opportunity to learn a little something and expand our knowledge and hopefully inform the public too as well. But nice to see, like in this time of construction, this construction season, like see new street signs, paved roads, kind of exciting. It's a fun time. I think we're going hopefully in a good direction. All right.
All right. We will move on. We have not seen or heard from Alaska Broadband Office. So we'll go past communication and appearance request for ordinances, and we do have a draft ordinance on the agenda tonight, and that is an appropriation of funds from the Parks and Rec Fund for participation in the Public Lands Research Center. Is there a motion to introduce?
I'll introduce ordinance 23-10.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Canali to introduce and seconded Mayor Walker, could you talk us through this one?
Be happy to. Yeah, it is kind of interesting. The that local and tribal consistency fund, the LATCF, we also call it the Public Lands ARPA, that did amount to just under $1 million. Borough set to receive $955,800. NACO, the National Association of Counties, was instrumental in making that happen for public lands counties. And NACO has submitted a request to public lands counties for a supplementary dues of 1% of your LATCF to help stand up a public lands research center that will continue to assist counties in working through public lands issues and to support funding for public lands counties. That the little PowerPoint on that request is kind of a backing document in your packet. I wanted to show you these requests because you guys are going to decide whether we agree to or not, right? It's gonna be up to you because it's an allocation, you know, from that fund, from those funds. The Alaska Municipal League, the board of directors approved a similar request for Alaska boroughs, from Alaska boroughs, a similar kind of supplementary dues with an intention to focus on public lands issues that are specific to Alaska that are often very different than those national public lands issues. So I included that request in your meeting packet as well. And so the purpose of the ordinance is to respond to these requests by splitting equally 1%, which is 9,000. The total 1% is $9,558 between the two organizations to support the goal of enhancing our collective effectiveness in addressing public lands issues. So where that money sits right now is in the Parks and Rec Fund. So it would be an allocation from that fund. We said we're going to use that primarily to, we set an intention to use it primarily as a match for infrastructure, including outdoor recreation and such, but really, you know, a wide range of opportunities that are out there to provide that match. And we've already been putting into use by providing the match for projects that are ongoing. But yeah, so I do recommend introduction tonight, give you a little time to chew on it. Maybe if you haven't had a chance, read those backing documents and, you know, make a decision next month whether we want to move forward and contribute supplementary dues to these organizations to help our collective efforts to advocate to support public lands counties and boroughs.
Right now, I guess the LATCF was just, it's just one-time funding. And do you know, just through folks at NACO or AML, kind of what the long-term plan is? I mean, if they're gonna start something up with this, like what that looks like, kind of like long-term sustainability wise, this kind of like a seed.
Yeah, it's a good question. You know, if they're successful in receiving 1%, it's a lot of money. And it would be the kind of seed that could, you know, spin off to be sustainable if everybody contributes. That kind of endowment model, right? I do believe that's the intention. Whether they achieve that or not, I think remains to be seen.
Thank you for that.
But that'd be for NACO. AML, we won't have an endowment model. AML's planning on, I believe, I think it said a fellowship. There are lands issues that, you know, that take time and research and kind of looking to add some staff to help with that.
discussion on the introduction of ordinance 23-10? Not, I would ask for a roll call vote on the motion to introduce.
David Alexander,
Yes.
Lisa Minor.
Yes.
Dominic Canali. Was that a yes?
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Jeff Stanger,
Yes.
Joe Chatfield,
Yes.
Richard Hammond,
Yes.
Helen Shreve,
Yes.
Jared Zimmerman.
Yeah.
It's introduced unanimously.
Is there a motion to postpone?
I need to postpone.
Second.
Mr. Shreve has moved to postpone to the next meeting. Seconded. Any discussion on postponing? Anyone opposed? Hearing none, we'll call that postpone. And that'll bring us to pending ordinances. I'm looking at a different agenda and I just had up. So this one is ordinance 23-7, appropriation of funds from the solid waste equipment reserve fund for the purchase of a new D8 dozer.
Move to approve ordinance 23-07.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Shreve to approve and seconded. Sure we don't want to postpone this one?
3 years is long enough.
Where is it?
It's on the way. It's coming.
Let's make the mayor nervous. Come on.
We can.
One. How are things looking on the old one right now?
The shoveling is, aren't they now?
Oh, I think we still have a few hours left on it.
Mayor Walker.
Might I make a comment, or actually reiterate a comment? I heard that, you know, it's such a small and simple ordinance with so much work behind it for so many years. Many of you have worked on this project, whether it be on the finance committee or looked at different funding packages, to assembly members who helped build that equipment reserve fund with all the different equipment replacement plans that we put in front of you over the years that always said this is the highest need, this is the workforce. And for all that work and all these efforts to come down to just a, you know, quarter-page ordinance with a big number on it. It's the biggest purchase we've ever made. That's undoubtedly by far.
But proportionately, the old one was probably close. I would.
The old one was pretty cheap. It was at the end of its useful life in 2008. That's our existing workforce at the landfill. Yeah.
You put a lot of money into fixing it.
Yeah, it might have been 2009, right in there.
Mr. Shreve.
Just kind of along the topics, once it gets here and we get it all situated, is the plan to sell the old one that we have, or are we just gonna bury it, or?
We're not going to bury it. Our staff and our operations manager want to keep it as backup. See.
Any other discussion? Not, I'd ask for a roll call vote on approval of ordinance 23-07.
Dominic Canali. Joe Chatfield,
Yes.
David Alexander.
Yes.
Helen Shreve,
Yes.
Lisa Minor.
Yes.
Richard Hammond,
Yes.
Jeff Stanger,
Yes.
Jared Zimmerman. Jared Zimmerman,
Yes.
it's unanimous.
Yay. Ordinances approved.
It's really coming.
Those are paid for.
So it'll be here tomorrow morning.
On the flow boat. It's on the boat. They're going to do it.
Really on the boat right now.
Yeah, we should have a christening.
Yeah.
That'd be good. First.
Where's it coming from?
That brings us to ordinance 23-08. Appropriation of funds from the Parks and Rec Fund for summer season rest facilities at the Antler Ridge parking area. And we have a version B on the agenda that we could substitute for version A.
I move to approve ordinance 23-08 version B.
Second.
Mayor
I might
Walker.
recommend that the first motion should be to substitute version B for version A. And then we move forward with version B.
Move to substitute version B for version A of ordinance 23-08.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Shreve to substitute version B for version A. Seconded, any discussion?
Still spelled wrong.
Toilet.
Yeah.
Typo there.
Correct that.
Well,
Thank
no,
you.
it's good.
That'll be in version B.
Anyone opposed to substituting version B? Hearing none, we'll call that unanimous. Is there a motion to approve?
I move to approve ordinance 23-08 version B.
Okay, moved by Mr. Shreve to approve and seconded. Any discussion?
This is the changes that we just talked about last meeting.
Correct. We did talk about these changes last meeting. I believe we talked about how this would come out of the other Parks and Rec, but that's where we put the LATCF, right? Come out of those LATCF funds. And it is our match, right? We're talking about using those funds as match. And yeah, the 5,000 will be our match toward this flat federal land access program project. And we don't anticipate that all 5,000 will be used for the toilet. So yeah, we've got that additional language in there, remaining funds used for the construction of the new toilet facility, the vaulted SST.
Any discussion on the motion to approve? I would ask for a roll call vote on approval of ordinance 23-08.
Joe Chatfield,
Yes.
Richard Hammond,
Yes.
Dominic Kennelly,
Yes.
Jeff Stanger,
Yes.
Lisa Minor.
Yeah.
Helen Shreve,
Yes.
David Alexander,
Yes.
Jared Zimmerman.
Yes.
It's unanimous.
Ordinance is approved, and that'll bring us to ordinance 23-09, appropriation of funds from the Major School Maintenance Fund for a reconstructed and expanded outdoor basketball court at Tri-Valley School.
I move to substitute ordinance 23-09 version A for version B.
Moved by Mr. Shreve to substitute version B. Any discussion on the substitution? Anyone opposed to substituting? Hearing none, we'll call that unanimous.
Move to approve ordinance number 23-09 version B.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Shreve to approve and seconded. Any discussion on version B? Or the motion to approve? How's luck?
Did they do it already? Oh, they did?
The kid said it was still warm on the bare feet yesterday. Yeah.
Put a footprint in there.
Yeah, brought some pea gravel home. It's good. Here it looks good. Any other discussion? All right, after roll call vote on approval then of 2309.
Alan Shreve?
Yes.
Joe Chatfield? David Alexander? Lisa Minor? Dominic Canali?
Yes.
Richard Hammond?
Yes.
Jeff Stanger?
Yes.
Jared Zimmerman?
Yes.
It's unanimous.
Ordinance is approved. That will bring us to resolutions, and we do have resolution 23-22, version B. Support for the Healthy and Equitable Communities Memorandum of Agreement.
This is another substitute. I move to substitute resolution 23-22 version A for version B.
Second.
Mr. Shreve has moved to substitute in version B. And seconded. Any discussion on substitution? Anyone opposed to substituting? Hearing none, call that unanimous.
Move to approve resolution 23-22 version B.
Move to approve and seconded.
Second.
Any discussion on approval of the resolution? Mayor Walker?
I'll just note that Anderson School and that outdoor basketball court upgrade is identified here in version B. And we don't have an exact timeline for when we'll know on this HEC grant, but and we expect that it will be overprescribed like a lot of these programs are. But we think we have some good competitive projects here.
Mayor Walker, any other discussion?
You gotta be in it to win it.
Just a quick clarification. So is this like an all or nothing award, or is it then like prioritized based on what we get? If we were awarded? Does that make sense?
They're going to select projects to fund.
Okay.
With no other discussion, I would ask for a roll call vote on approval of resolution 23-22.
Jeff Stanger?
Yes.
Joe Chatfield?
Yes.
Lisa Minor? Talon Shreve?
Yes.
David Alexander? Richard Hammond?
Yes.
Dominic Canali?
Yes.
Jared Zimmerman?
Yes.
It's unanimous.
Resolution is approved. Brings us to other business, and we do have liquor license renewals for Sled Dog Liquor, Alpenville Restaurant, and Mountaineer Grill and Bar.
Move to not protest the liquor licenses before us.
Moved by Mr. Shreve to not protest and seconded. Any discussion?
I just want to inquire as to whether the borough's had any kind of information on complaints, any criminal complaints or any kind of complaints that would cause us to question whether or not to approve.
Thanks for that. The borough has not received any complaints on these three establishments, and all three are registered with the borough and are current on their taxes.
All right, thank you.
Anyone opposed to not protesting? Okay. Call that a unanimous non-protest, and that brings us to public comments. Anyone online want to jump in and tell us how we did?
Oh, comments here.
very efficient.
We will move on to assembly comments and I'll start on the left, Mr. Alexander.
I mean, this is too. Line right to go on a very long winded story and draw it out a little bit. Another good meeting, good things learned. It's exciting, we're getting a new bulldozer, paying for things that we already kind of have. Basketball courts and the like, but good business being done. That's it.
Yeah, thanks for an efficient meeting. Really have nothing more to add.
I'd like to thank everybody who's watching online and for the people that came and for the updates that we've been given, and yeah, hope everybody's having a good summer. And if you're not busy on Saturday, come join us in Nenana for the centennial for the railroad.
What's the time on that?
9 o'clock is when they're gonna open the capsule, and then it just goes from there. There's stuff for the rest of the day till about 3 or 4.
Nice.
Come on down and join us down there. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody, for a great meeting.
Well, I don't have any other comments. Thanks for the reports, and thanks, everybody.
Thanks for driving down, Baxter. Thank you to the borough office and mayor, all the work that they put in. Appreciate it. And yes, most efficient meeting, but good work done. Good job.
Mr. Hammond?
Yeah, thanks to everybody. It's always a pleasure to work with y'all, spend some time with y'all. These are the best meetings that I've had in a long time. Yeah, it's good to be here, good to be part of y'all, and thanks for doing what you do.
And Mr. Stenger?
Yeah, thanks, again, thanks to the borough staff. They do a tremendous job. Same with the mayor and the whole assembly. Just like to make sure we keep that Anderson repaving on the forefront of priorities for us. I think anything we can do to keep people outside and do outdoor activities and all is a good thing. And the planning commission briefing was awesome. Good job for those guys. And I really liked it. There's a lot of participation in the cork. That sounds like that was a good committee to put together or group, and it seems to be a priority in this community. So really happy to hear about that. That's it.
Well, we will meet again Wednesday, August 9th at the Denali Borough office or here online.
Move to adjourn.
Unanimous. Have a good evening, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks. Good night.
Good night.
Is that a record?